We begin in the NBA with a statement win last night from the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics beat the Milwaukee Bucks 140-99 in Milwaukee last night. And for the Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum was sensational. He had 40 points on 12 of 18 shooting, shot 8 of 10 from three-point range. Jaylen Brown had a great game as well, 30 points, shot 13 of 20 from the floor, 3 of 5 from three-point range. For the Bucks, Giannis had 24 points, shot 11 of 27 from the floor, 7 rebounds. So here were some player reactions after the game. Take a listen.
I think we knew what it was. It was Milwaukee versus Boston. We do look at the regular season as an accomplishment. But at the end of the day, if we happen to meet them in the playoffs, I just think we'll lock in differently.
We got a lot of history with them, right? Very familiar with them. And tonight, I mean, we shot the ball well. They didn't shoot it well. If we play them again in the postseason, it's, probably not going to be like this.
You know what the deal is. It's not hard to understand. If you're not focused, if you don't play hard, they're going to kick our ass. Simple as that. There's no level of percent. It's a fact. So now you have this in your head, and it's up to us to see how we're going to deal with it.
That was the reactions from the players last night following the Celtics' dominant win over the Bucks. The Celtics win over the Bucks was the second largest win for a team versus the team with the best record, minimal 50 games into a season. Also, the Celtics beat the Bucks 2 out of 3 times this season. Both of those losses from the Bucks to the Celtics came by a combined 62 points. And the odds to win the Eastern Conference now have been updated. The Bucks have a plus 35 chance to win the Eastern Conference. The Celtics have a plus 150 chance to win the Eastern Conference. And now the Celtics are now 2 games out of the first seed in the Eastern Conference. So as I watched the game last night, start to finish, my biggest takeaway from the game last night was the Celtics sending a message to the Milwaukee Bucks that even if the Bucks finish with the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, the Celtics do not have any issue or problem with going to Milwaukee and beating the Milwaukee Bucks in a decisive Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals if it comes down to that. I thought this was a major, major win for the Boston Celtics, and I believe that they sent a statement to the Bucks to let them know, hey, even if y'all have home court advantage, we can beat you at the FedEx Forum in Milwaukee in your house. This was a complete beatdown. And I thought Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown did an outstanding job setting the tone in the first half of this game. I thought Jaylen Brown came out and was aggressive in the first quarter. He was able to get to the rim, finish around the rim, hit a few mid-range jump shots. He did a great job dropping 30 points on 13 of 20 shooting from the floor, 3 of 5 shooting from three-point range, did a great job getting out in transition. And I thought Jason Tatum, he basically played off of Jaylen Brown and his performance in the first quarter, and Tatum followed that up with a sensational second quarter, and the Celtics took off on the Bucks. They simply took off on the Bucks, and the Celtics outscored the Bucks 41-21 in the second quarter of last night's game. And I thought watching the game that the Celtics did a tremendous job at defending Giannis. And they have the personnel to defend Giannis. And I think the key for the Celtics is going to be Robert Williams being healthy. They got to have Robert Williams in the lineup, because I believe if you got Robert Williams in the lineup, the things that the Bucks usually like to do and the advantages that they usually have with Giannis and with Brook Lopez down in the interior, I believe if you have Robert Williams and Al Horford in the lineup, then the Bucks, they can't use their size to their advantage against the Celtics like they can against other teams. So Robert Williams has to be healthy for the Boston Celtics to go on another championship run. But defending Giannis is something that you can tell that the Celtics have definitely prioritized, and they know how to do. They have the personnel being able to do it. You got Jason Tatum. You got Grant Williams. You got Robert Williams. You got Al Horford. You got Marcus Smart sometimes who get to crack at Giannis. You got Jaylen Brown as well. They got so many bodies who they can throw at Giannis, and I believe that could be the difference in a playoff series. They got multiple bodies to throw at Giannis, and if the Bucks aren't hitting perimeter shots, they could be in trouble against the Boston Celtics in a playoff series. Last night, the Bucks, from three-point range, they shot just 33%. They made 14 of 43 three-pointers. And if the Celtics are going to pack the paint to contain Giannis, that means their shooters like Chris Middleton, like Drew Holiday, like Pat Connaughton, okay, they got to be able to hit shots. They got to be able to hit shots. You can also throw in there Wesley Matthews and Jay Crowder now, who's a part of their team, and even the young guard that they have, the young guard, they got Dragic off the bench as well. So they got guys on their team who can hit perimeter shots, but if they're not hitting their shots, they become very, very ineffective. Grayson Allen, so that's the key. If the Celtics pack the paint against Giannis, can those Bucks shooters like Ingles, like Grayson Allen, like Drew Holiday, like Chris Middleton, like Carter, Connaughton, can they hit perimeter shots? If they can't, they will struggle to beat the Boston Celtics. So I thought that the Celtics did a great job sending a message to the Bucks. Number one, that if the Eastern Conference Finals, if it's a game 7 and it's played in Milwaukee, we have no problem rolling up into Milwaukee and beating you in your house. And they also did a tremendous job at defending Giannis. Giannis had 24 points in this game, shot 11 of 27 from the floor. Giannis is going to get his. Giannis is going to get 20 points, 25 points minimal, because Giannis is that great of a player. But if you can limit the others, you have a great chance at being able to beat the Milwaukee Bucks. Chris Middleton, he did leave the game in the third quarter, but he had 13 points, but Brook Lopez only had 8 points. Drew Holiday had 6 points. This is Drew Holiday. He's fresh off a performance against the Indiana Pacers where he dropped 51. Portis, 12 points. Grayson Allen, only 3 points. So when you play in the Bucks, Giannis is going to get his. But if you can slow down the others, I believe that's your best chance at being able to win against the Milwaukee Bucks. Also, for the Boston Celtics, I thought that a major factor in them beating the Bucks the way that they did was the fact that they got completely outplayed Tuesday night in Washington against the Wizards. I mean, that was a complete letdown Tuesday night in Washington against the Wizards, who are not very good, and the Celtics are a more superior team than the Wizards are, and they got beat down by the Wizards Tuesday night. Beat down. So I thought that because they got blew out by the Wizards, and I thought that they were looking ahead to the Bucks game on Thursday night. That's why they lost the way they did against the Wizards. They lost to the Wizards because they were looking ahead to the Bucks game. But because they got blown out by the Wizards, they came out with the intensity and they set the tone in the early stages of this basketball game, and they never looked back. They never looked back. And now that they're only 2 games behind the Milwaukee Bucks, anything can happen in these final few games. So this is the Bucks' schedule in the final 2 games. Remember, the Celtics have the tiebreaker over the Bucks. The Celtics beat the Bucks 2 out of 3 matchups this year, so they have the tiebreaker over the Bucks if they were to finish with the same record. So this is the Bucks' final 5 games. Sunday, they are home against the Sixers. That's a game they could potentially lose. Tuesday, they're in Washington against the Wizards. They are home against the Bulls the following night. And then April 7th, they are home against the Grizzlies. And April 9th, they are at Toronto. I see the Sixers game being a potential loss, the Grizzlies game being a potential loss, and maybe the Bulls, but I would favor the Bucks over the Bulls. But the Bulls are also fighting to get into the play-in to have an opportunity to make the playoffs. So DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, they're going to play hard in that game next Wednesday against the Bucks. And that game is in Milwaukee. It's going to be on ESPN. So if the Bucks lose 3 out of their last 5, the Celtics could have an opportunity to possibly overlap them and be the number 1 seed in the East. Now, here's the Celtics schedule, the final 5 games. Tonight, they are home against the Jazz. That should be a win. Tuesday, they are at Philadelphia. But I believe that the Celtics are a matchup that the Sixers do not like. So I think going up against the Sixers, the Celtics should beat the Sixers. But similar to the Sixers being able to beat the Bucks, the Sixers could also beat the Celtics. That game is Tuesday night in Philly. Then they have a back-to-back. Wednesday, they're home against the Raptors. And then April 7th, they are again home against the Raptors. So they got a home against the Raptors. And they finish up April 9th against the Hawks, who are also trying to get into the play-in and stay in the play-in. So the Celtics, because I think they should beat the Jazz, and if they want to have a chance at being able to overlap the Bucks, they got to beat the Raptors in both of their games when they have the home and home matchups next Wednesday and also April 7th, which is Friday. That matchup on Wednesday against the Raptors in Boston, and the Friday matchup against the Raptors again in Boston. The Celtics got to win both of those matchups if they want to have an opportunity to overlap the Bucks. They got to. So it's going to be an interesting finish of the season in the Eastern Conference. It's going to be an interesting race to the finish line. The Bucks currently have a 70% chance for the 1 seed, according to ESPN's analytics. So, I think the Celtics definitely have the parts on their team that can make things tough for Giannis. They definitely have the pieces. Like, they got so many defenders who can make things tough on Giannis. Jaylen Brown, Grant Williams, Jason Tatum, Robert Williams, Al Horford, Marcus Smart, Malcolm Brogdon. They got bodies to throw at Giannis. So I think that could be an issue for the Bucks in the playoffs if they were to face off in the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm going to go out on record right now and let it be known. The Boston Celtics will beat the Milwaukee Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they will represent the East in the NBA Finals this year. I'm saying it right now. The Celtics are going to beat the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they're going to represent the East in the NBA Finals for a second consecutive season.